I'm sitting with a great friend of mine, somebody I've got to know for 5 years now, the great Andrew Staples, tenor extraordinaire, and we're sitting here with some martinis here in Paris.
Cheers.
Buddy, the single greatest story I have ever heard in my life was delivered by you to a table full of people in Melbourne. Mm-hmm. And I have now told this story as if I was there. And I have equally gathered the attention of tables telling your story. Not claiming it as my own, but telling the Andrew Staples story. And it's the you and the McCartney story. I mean,
yeah.
There's nothing quite... I mean, the second you said that Alec Baldwin opened the door holding some kind of veggie lasagna, and Paul shouts across the room, Andy, get in here. And you're like trying to show off to your girlfriend that you're bringing in. Like, the story explodes from there. How do you... what's the first phone call that you find out you're going to work with Paul McCartney?
Okay, so the beginning of the story is better than that, I think, which is that my agency in London, I don't know if they do it anymore, but they used to do this kind of like meat market audition where they would get you in, all the new intake, and they'd put you in a room and they would say, you know, you have 20 minutes, you've got 2 songs, and you've got all the casting directors from Europe, and if you know, they're going to put it on a DVD and send it to anyone who didn't come. Okay. So I'm like already shitting it.
You're like, my whole career is today.
Well, also I was 24 or something, and I had ambition back then. Yeah. And so I turn up to this. So the night before, there's a birthday party, friend of mine. I'm at college at the time. And we all turn
Night
up.
before you go drinking. Is that what you're telling me?
Well, it was dark. Okay. You know. So, and we I was very good. I didn't drink very much. And then they produced the birthday cake. And halfway through my second slice of this like rich, just unctuous chocolate cake, sort of deviled layers of... that's when the guy admitted how much marijuana he'd baked into the cake.
Oh, God damn it.
So I don't know. I mean, the kind of the exposure you get to that when you eat the stuff, like an hour or two later.
And it stays with you for 12, 15 hours. Yeah. I'm very well versed in edibles. You know, that shit does not go away. It's not 3 hours and it's like it's never happened. No. I mean, this you talk about 12 hours of I'm fucked up. Yeah, I mean, we started with the laughter, and then and then I had the paranoia, then I couldn't sleep, and then I was like, I've got 4 hours, it's 3 hours, it's 2 hours to my audition. I'm on at 10 a.m. because I'm new. And you're still feeling it. You're cloudy. All over the show. I turn up and I say to them, look, I can't do this. And they just think that it's because of the massive weight of the scary lion. Right. You know, of casting directors. And I was like, yeah, that's why. And I thought, I'm not going to tell them it's because I'm baked off my head. And so I got them to put me back to sort of the last. I do 4 o'clock or something. Okay, you put it off. And that's why then I walk the streets of London. That's a scary moment because I have never put myself in a position to be high and have to perform. I could see that it happened against your will. Okay, that's something that happens. But to actually show up and be like, I'm going to do this. Yeah. I'm going to put myself in this position. Like that's a tough spot to be in. And weed might make you brave. I can do this. Yeah. But how hard can it be? I would be nervous that I wouldn't even remember my text or that I couldn't hear the music the way it was coming out or anything like that. Well, so it turned out that they weren't the problem. The problem was that I couldn't keep my emotional response to what I was singing separate from my singing. Okay, so I don't know if you've ever thought about this, but it's never really occurred to me that if I'm singing something sad, I'm not sad. Right. I'm acting. Right. But when I was doing these songs... It hit you. Oh, man, I was all over the place. So, you know... you have like a single tear dripping down the side of your face. It was worse. So the first song I did was The Ride to Rome, a chunk of Rape of Lucretia, Benjamin Britten. Yeah. You know, and there's this like insane bit where he's the tenor part is like a narrator, and he's sort of there's this bit he's on the horse and he's riding through the Rome, he's jumping over the lake, he's going through the ring, and he's gonna get her. I know, it's just like I was just insane. I could see this horse was there. Did you know what was happening? Did you know you were putting on the performance of a lifetime? No, I thought, oh shit, but I couldn't stop it. I was just like, but the music is so like, and I was there, man, and at the end of it I just looked down and the pianist was sort of looking up at me like I just run over her cat. She's like, my god. I was like, I think I'm okay. She's like, okay, do you want to do the next one? I'm like, yeah. So I sort of slugged a pint of water. The next song was Strauss Befreit, which is Christ. It's a song about saying to your dying partner, don't worry, I'll look after the kids. Oh my God. You know, and it's 6 minutes of that. And you just let that sink in. I couldn't. I'm like halfway through the second stanza. You didn't have any kids at that point. No, but I knew what kids were, you know. I'd seen them on the bus. And I was just,
oh my God, weeping like a complete freak. And at the end, some people were like, powerful stuff, man. But by the end of the song, I could hardly sing. I was just, and you're supposed, this phrase keeps coming back.
Did you have an awareness at the time?
Yeah.
Okay.
Massive. Like, this is...
You knew what was happening.
I was falling down
and you
a hole.
thought, this is good or bad?
Bad.
Okay.
I thought,
Too
bad.
far. I
thought, this is the worst audition I've
I'm
ever
making them uncomfortable. Yeah.
But also, I knew that this is not what I normally do.
Yeah.
I'm not someone who stands there on stage and weeps.
No, I don't bleed for people. Yeah, I wish I could, but it's not in me generally.
Yeah. So anyway, nothing much came of that audition apart from they sent the DVD to Paul McCartney, and he obviously was like, that guy. He's my kind of.
He's fucking crazy.
He's off his face. Let's get him.
So this is the only thing that comes from that audition. Is a call from Paul McCartney.
Yeah.
We'd like you to do this thing in New York. Mm-hmm. And you're 24 at the time.
Yeah, 24, 25 by then. And no, so the first thing was...
Did you shit yourself? I mean, like, look...
I thought it was a joke, because I didn't get a call from Paul McCartney. I got a call from my agent saying, that audition you completely destroyed.
Yeah.
They'd like you to do this concert in the Albert Hall, and then it's going to go to the Carnegie Hall. And I'm like, oh yeah, I've heard of both of them. Sorry, what am I doing? I'm singing Wings songs with an orchestra. And how much they're going to pay me?
Like what? Like Band on the Run? Like
yeah. So he'd written,
but they never know. I have worked with rock and roll myself.
Of course.
They don't know what we get paid. And so they show up with like figures and your head explodes, right? Was that your case? You were just like, they want to pay me what?
Look, it wasn't, looking back on it, it wasn't, by then, it was like far and away the biggest thing I've ever been paid.
You were 24 at the time, so,
It turns out, I think we probably could have got more if we'd gone in with a ridiculous anchor.
Yeah, okay.
I just take it, and I took the first offer they gave me.
Well, you got to hang out with Paul McCartney. That right away I might have said, I'll do it for free.
Yeah, it wasn't about the money.
Right.
Yeah, it was bizarre. So what you want me to tell?
I need to hear it. So okay, so you realize it's real. You're going to sing fucking Wings songs with an orchestra, which sounds
insane. So it's
not something I would pay for, but I would watch you do it.
We had a good time. So Paul McCartney, his recording studio down on the south coast is in a windmill. He has a sort of windmill, of course. And I remember we were in there with the Belcher Quartet, who are this amazing string quartet. And we were doing the first sort of read through, and someone had taken the Wing songs and put them into.
They orchestrated it,
right?
Did Paul pretend to do that, or?
No, I mean he's involved. He doesn't like read the music so much,
right?
But he'd written a kind of oratorio thing. That was the second part. So, but he's he can play it and he can sing. There's no question of his musicianship.
Sure,
but there was a gap between how he saw the music and how the phenomenally trained classical string quartet saw it. And so there are rhythms that are sort of, bum ba dum ba dum ba da da da. And
there's a language missing.
Well, I think when you take any music and put it on paper,
right,
you're losing a lot of info.
Of course.
And then if you then try and realize it again, the composing...
There should be a way to write that could get exactly what he's looking for, but maybe he didn't necessarily have those skills, or, if he's looking for a swing and he doesn't know how to notate that.
Right.
Okay.
So exactly. So
it's a little sterile, is what you're saying.
It's like you take a letter, you translate it into another language you can't speak.
Right.
They translate that back into another language, and then you reference that. And it's like, that's not what I said.
Right.
So, things like these sort of like fast syncopated rhythms. And I was like, I think he means if you make that a triplet and that a duplet and make that one a shorter one, and Paul's like, can you translate? I was like, yeah. And so suddenly became this sort of...
You were the go-between.
Yeah, he'd like, can you tell him to do this? I'm like, yeah, sure, Paul.
Now you're producing the music. Now you're producing the concert.
Yeah.
And you're getting out of the orchestra what Paul needs. And he lacks the language to do that.
I think he doesn't talk classical quite like I do. And but I like the Beatles. So, and I think some of them weren't even sure who he was. So.
No, come on.
Well, no, they wouldn't know who he was. Anyway, it went well. And then we had a good chat. We ended up doing...
So he's happy with you. He's around. You're cordial with each other. He's giving you notes, maybe, or you're having a conversation. Yeah.
It was all very.
He's approachable. He's a normal guy.
And he loves. I think what he gets a lot of adulation, but I think it was he really got off on the fact that us sort of proper musicians or whatever, classical musicians, were really big fans and could connect with the music. And I sort of said at one point,
did he see himself? Because I had a similar experience with Roger Waters.
Oh yeah,
and I got the impression that he wanted to be around classical musicians because in rock and roll mind, that is the level up.
Yeah.
If I'm a real composer, these people respect me too. I got that feeling from Roger. Maybe he doesn't give a shit.
Yeah.
But he surrounded himself by the singers, and he wanted to be around us, and he was so generous with us. But you could tell it was mutual.
Yeah.
He wanted to be a part of what we did. Did you sense that?
Yeah, for sure. I think I think he really. It was easy for him because the soprano was the beautiful and wonderful Kate Royal.
Yeah,
and
of
I'm
course.
sure he wanted to spend more time with her than he did with me.
Completely understood. I would too.
Right.
No offense.
And none taken. She's not available for your podcast. But you know, we got on.
I'd sooner get Paul. I think.
Oh, sure. Yeah. I'll give him a call. There was a lovely moment though when he said, I was asking him about. Okay, so you know the song Yesterday. It's
okay.
Like, of course.
Yeah.
So
have you ever heard of the Bible?
You've heard the Bible, right? Second chord of Yesterday sort of comes out of nowhere in terms of Beatles kind of chord.
What is the second chord? It begins in F, no?
It starts with F major, and then you go Yesterday. Da, 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 da.
Yeah.
So it pivots into the sort of relative, the dominant of the dominant, and so it's like a secondary dominant. I guess must be all that B minor 7 or something. And I said, where did that come from, Paul? Like you didn't.
Did you know it was this chord?
And he's like, oh well, we John's dad knew someone in the world who knew B minor 7, and
they went to go learn it.
Yeah.
Oh.
Sunday afternoon, they're like, we knew D, G, C, A, and with E, and then
show us how to play a B minor chord.
You know the secondary one. Okay, well, teach us all. And then he said we put that.
They went somewhere to go find out how to play the chord.
Yeah.
It's like caveman times.
Yeah. Isn't that nice? I don't know if it's true, but I like it.
Well, it doesn't matter if it's true, right?
It's pretty good. Then he had the Mellotron, the Mellotron with the...
Yep.
It still had the Strawberry Field samples in it, and so we did a bit of that. And then he...
So when you're singing Paul McCartney's music to Paul McCartney, does your head explode? Are you just like, what the fuck happened?
It's easier than singing,
It's easy to sing, but I'm talking about the surreal moment of sitting in front of what probably the most famous musician in the world.
Yeah.
I mean, arguably the most famous or most recognizable.
Sure.
That music is in our DNA, right? And you're sitting before him, and he was the real tune writer. I mean, I'm a John Lennon fan, but the most memorable tunes were written by Paul McCartney. Sure. And you're singing his music back to him, and you're 24 years old. Is there anything? What's going through your head?
Don't fuck it up.
Don't fuck it up.
Yeah, don't piss him off. Like, just sort of.
He liked your voice. He liked your performance. Did you get a sense from him that it wasn't going well or that it was going great? I
mean, I think he liked it. I think he thought there were times when I was like it was weird because I did a sort of weird mid-Atlantic kind of I'm singing pop music. So do I stretch the vowels a bit?
What do I do with the vowels?
And he's like, no, you've got to sing them like an English person from Liverpool. I was like, okay. So he gave me sort of coaching on how he didn't want it to be.
But you're not from
Yesterday.
Liverpool.
No, but. But also, like, when you sing English, well, in fact, any language.
No, I go straight for a British accent, or a very pathetic version of one. But it's more proper. If you're singing Britain or something, there's an element to it that I strip the American away. Okay. Hopefully,
yeah, like you are now, naked in front of me. It's hot in Paris, guys. It's okay.
I'm going to turn the AC on in about 10 minutes,
and then put that woolen coat back on as well. Yeah, no, it went well. It was nice. So then I got ill actually on the plane over. I got some weird...
So you did the recording and you did the performance?
No, we didn't record it. We did a concert in London.
Yeah.
And then we had to
sold out.
Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, Tony Bennett came and stuff like
right,
that.
Right.
It was ridiculous.
And you're literally singing solos, Wings songs, solos with orchestra.
Well, yes. So there were some songs that were quartet, and then there were some that were duets with a soprano with the full orchestra.
Was everybody keeping it together? The other soloists were like,
we were trying to keep it together. We were just pretending it was fine.
I think that's all you can do.
Yeah.
You've been hired for a job, but you're 24, and I think 24-year-old Christian would have been really freaked out by this. 44, no problem.
Exactly.
No problem enough. But at 24, I would have been like, I don't know if my ego would have gotten in the way or my lack of ego would have gotten in the way. You know what I mean? Like something might have sabotaged me in that moment.
It's strange, isn't it? I mean, I think that's probably true about every decision I made back then. It was just having, there was this kind of everything I'd wanted to do, I was doing. Like I wanted to sing, I wanted to do this stuff, I wanted this opportunity, and I was extremely right place at the right time.
Yeah.
Even 2.5 kilograms of marijuana couldn't stop me from getting on that stage.
Exactly. Right.
So the part of me was like, this is meant to be, whatever.
Well, okay, all right.
So I was kind of, I remember afterwards.
You have enough self-confidence and awareness to be like, yes, I'm the person to do this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or at least
I respect that because that's going to get you through the show.
Okay.
It will right now. No. That'll get you through that show.
Yeah.
It'll be like I'm the guy to do this.
And I enjoyed it rather than thinking I wasn't. I mean, it's weird. Like I used to play the trumpet as a kid, and I was okay, but I got like crushingly nervous playing the trumpet.
Right.
And I don't really get that with singing.
Yeah.
Like I know, like unless I'm ill or something, but like unless there's like a really obviously mitigating factor, then part of me is like, it's songs in a room. It's going to be okay. I can enjoy this, and I sort of know,
right,
to some extent how to do it.
You had enough confidence at 24 years old to say, "I'm the right guy for this."
Yeah,
yeah.
But maybe, God, maybe.
I was a Pink Floyd fan growing up.
Yeah,
and so when I got the call that Roger's got this opera and he wants to do it, and he wants you to do it, it's not that you fanboy, but you definitely have a sense of.
It's cool.
You have crossed over into this world that you had hoped to be. You know, like as a kid, you want to be a rock star, right? Like,
right.
That was the dream of 15-year-old me.
Yeah.
And so when I was suddenly standing in front of him, it's not. I never acted like a fan, but I did want to be. I found that I wanted to be near him. I wanted to hear what he had to say, and I was worried.
Yeah.
That my impression of rock god was going to get blown up.
Okay.
And he did not disappoint.
Okay, good.
He was exactly what I needed him to be. And I'm wondering if you're meeting Paul McCartney and you think this is more than royalty.
Yeah.
This is the man that stood next to John Lennon and sang yesterday. Yeah. Like what's going like when you meet the man, is that impressed upon you?
No, he was really low key, down to earth, kind of.
He's approachable.
Yeah,
you can talk to him.
Yeah. I mean, there were vivid memories of. There was a moment when I was in the hotel room in New York, Fifth Avenue, and I'd arrived the night before or 2 nights before, really ill.
Yeah,
and I couldn't speak.
Right,
and then I had like green gunge coming out of my face. It was bad. And
that's stress right there.
Oh yeah, I was
stress
like,
got you bad.
This is not going to go well. You think it's stress? No, it was bacterial infection because they said, right, we're going to get you a doctor. He's going to come to your room, and he's going to sort you out. I'm like, okay, what? So the guy shows up. He's the. This
is a very specific Pink Floyd song right now.
Right. He's the on-set doctor for Law and Order. Okay. Seriously, he shows up to my hotel room.
But he's not a singer doctor.
I mean, the night before he told me. Okay, so he comes into my room. On his bed. He opens up this kind of like old-fashioned leather case.
It's all steroids.
Yeah, it's full of.
It's all steroids.
Just all kinds of ampules and little syringes. I'm like, oh Christ. And he goes,
You're
last
in
night,
it now, baby.
Yeah,
You're
I'm here.
in it.
And he just starts filling up syringes with things. He's like, do you want this in the cords? I'm like, no. He's like, okay.
He's going to stab you in your fucking neck?
Yeah. That's what he wanted to do. And I said...
you know what? It might have been the play.
Well, I was like...
Were you swollen? Were you swollen enough to not get through Wing songs?
I couldn't speak. I was in bits, yeah. And so the night before, he had given Sting he'd given steroids into his neck.
Now you're talking at a school.
Madison
That's
Square
going to
Garden.
cost us. That's going to cost us.
Okay. That's true. True story. So I said, no, look,
So he had given Sting a shot in the cords, and
That's
now
what
he's
he
like,
said.
come here, Andy.
Yeah. And he gave me 3 shots. I don't know what. I mean, I'm pretty sure one of them was just liquid cocaine because I didn't sleep for days. But the next morning, I was. The other thing, Paul McCartney insisted that I drink. Oh my God, it's horrible. Pints and pints of.
He wasn't. He heard you were ill, and and he wanted to be helpful.
Yeah, he's like, oh, okay, I've got this, and so he organised the doctors to turn up, and I'm like, oh, and then he's like, you have to drink this scallion tea. And for our British listeners, that's
scallion tea.
Oh yeah, that's we call that spring onion. So finely chopped. He got the chef in the hotel would make me. He would bring up like a great big plate.
If Paul McCartney said, "Bring him up a pile of dog shit," they would have done that.
Yeah.
So
yes, Paul. How much, Paul?
What kind of dog, Paul?
Yeah. Yeah. So anyway, a lot of. I drank this horrendous stuff, and the next morning, to be fair, it was either the scallion tea or the 3 milligrams, or whatever he stuck in my arm. But I was fine, and the phone.
Your chords were fine.
Yeah, I was
you
fine.
could sing.
I woke up. I was like,
Were you fucked up, or you were like, I'm?
It was a little bit like it was fine for Wings.
You're buzzing.
It wouldn't have been okay for Verdi or something. But
it was Wings acceptable.
Wings acceptable. It was flight safe, and so the phone rings the next morning, sort of 9 a.m. The phone rings, and I say hello. And he goes, "Hi, it's Paul." I said, "Paul who?" And he said,
"Wait, to fuck off, or to make a joke?"
Yeah. He went, Paul. He went, "Paul McCartney." I said, "I just wanted to hear you say that." And he said, "Well, you're feeling better, aren't you? I'll see you at rehearsal, you lazy fuck." And slammed the phone down.
Wait, I'm dying. Wait. You know it's Paul McCartney. He says, "Hey, it's Paul," and you say, "Paul who?"
Yeah. That was the only joke I had on me.
Not too many people could have pulled off this joke.
I'm not sure I did, but it was I remember that. It was nice.
You actually made him say his full name.
I thought it was funny. It was funny.
It was important when I was with Roger to be normal.
Yeah.
He didn't want fans around. He loved his fans.
Yeah.
He was followed. Everywhere we went, he was followed by people who wanted him to sign shit.
Yeah.
And he was happy to sign it. But those were fans, and I was with him.
Yeah.
And so it seemed like it was important to stay in that space.
In the friend zone.
In the friend zone, so to speak. But you know what I mean? Because as soon as he took care of his fans, he really did. He loved them, and he did what they asked him to do. Pictures and sign shit. I mean, he did all of it. He really did. But they weren't coming in the restaurant.
Yeah.
And so I think I realized it was important to stay in the. I wanted to do his show well.
Yeah.
And it's for better or for worse. I mean, he wrote an opera about the French Revolution. Here we are sitting in Paris, and he put the French Revolution in 3 hours, which is a fucking bold move.
Yeah.
You know,
it's pretty.
Was
it good?
I mean, there's moments of melodic beauty.
Okay.
But it's almost impossible to tell this story in 3 hours.
Yeah.
And so I wasn't.
You're saying it was too short.
I didn't know what it was.
Okay.
I wasn't sure what we were.
Yeah.
We were trying to. So he puts himself in the show, right? He's a narrator. And so he sits off to the side in the chair.
Ball and move.
And he's got a bottle of wine and a glass, and he's taking care of himself, and he's narrating to push along the French Revolution.
I love it.
And I'm standing next to Brian Email, and we're in Oslo. And I mean, I've stood before big crowds before, but this was a rock and roll crowd. And he was in the middle of his wall tour.
Yeah.
And so his name was just in the rounds, and he was going through Europe, city hopping through Europe, putting up his wall tour, sold out, one of the most successful tours in the history of rock and roll. And so we were staring at 25,000 people on this open plaza. And I'm standing next to Brian Email, incredible American tenor, and we're used to singing in these opera houses, and suddenly we're standing before 25,000 and nobody's looking at us.
Yeah.
They're just looking at Uncle Roger sitting in the chair over there, And I'm just like, it's like I'm having this surreal moment because I can remember as a kid with my headphones in my bed with the lights out, listening to The Wall.
Right.
And being seduced by this.
Yeah.
And there I am sitting next to the guy, or standing next to the guy, and I'm singing his music, and he's performing with us, and he wants to, he's full rock star for me. I was worried that he was going to be a fucking asshole.
Yeah.
And it turns out that he was like philosopher and fucking crazy drunk rock star and shaman and all those things that you want him to be. And now I don't think he was putting it on for me. I don't think that he recognized that we needed him to be something and he was being that thing.
Yeah.
I think he was legitimately the fucking rock god that I think he is. We go to a restaurant after the show in Gothenburg, Sweden. That's where we are, Gothenburg. We go to this restaurant. It's a 5-star restaurant. There's white curtains hanging, from the ceiling to the ground, and we're sitting in these banquet tables, 15 glasses in front of you, that kind of thing. But he's getting fucking shit-faced, and we're going right with him.
Yeah.
The first 2 martinis go down quick, and then it's just white wine with every breath. Every breath, white wine. We go through a dinner. He barely eats a thing. He's a real thin guy. He was trying to stay thin for the show.
Like me.
Yeah. But like rock and roll thin. But of course, the fat fucking opera singers are just like eating everything they put in front. Food. Exactly, it's free food. But he's shit faced, and we're fucked up too. And dessert comes out, and there's this big chocolate dish in front of him. It's I don't know what it's some sort of fancy restaurant. And we're sitting there, and it's Brian Email, and it's Oren Gradus, and it's my wife, who's next to me, and famous American agent, Jeffrey Vanderveen. Mm-hmm. And Jeffrey can't stop his mouth. Like, he's just talking, and Roger's like, had enough. He wants, like Roger is the show. We're all here to hear what Roger has to say. And Jeffrey's running his mouth, and Roger looks down at his dessert, and he says, "Jeffrey, be fucking quiet." And he slams his fist down on this chocolate dessert. It was, I don't know what it was, but it was like pudding, some kind of like stacked pudding. This thing went all over the room. It's covering the white curtains of this 5-star restaurant. This Michelin-rated restaurant. It's got chocolate dripping down its white curtains.
It's beautiful.
Because Roger just slammed this fucking thing down. And I was like, we're in rock and roll now. Yeah. Like, this is not...
This has gone to 11.
This has gone to 11. I'm like, any minute now, the strippers are going to come in. Like, you have this idea in your head of what rock and roll is supposed to be. But it was a guy that could do anything he wanted, no matter where he was, and it was totally fine. You probably didn't get that same
we didn't have
impression from McCartney.
My God, no, he was relatively normal.
So they give you the drugs, you do the show.
Give me the drugs, do the show, and then this guy. I mean, someone hands me like a little like a ticker tape thing, like a little one line bit of paper, with an address on it, and sort of curls it into my hand and says, "Paul wants you to join him at the after."
Is this
party.
a big goon of a guy? I mean, is it like a security guy?
It's a little sound guy who's been doing the kind of Paul sound guy.
He says Paul would like you to go to.
Paul would like you to.
Did all the other singers get it?
Well, there's only 2 of us. So, but I mean, like the quiet. No, just yeah. So the other singer did, Kate, and so then we get in a cab and we go to this place, and it's like some beautiful apartment near the Guggenheim somewhere.
You're up on the east side. Yeah.
And go through the lift. And
now wait. Now when you say us, who's us?
Well, actually, I was in a cab on my own at that point.
Okay.
So Kate had already arrived because she went.
This was your girlfriend at the time.
No. Kate Royal. Nothing's. She's
okay.
there with her now husband.
Right.
But now I was all on my own then.
You were by yourself.
I was by myself, and so I show up at this. The cab drops me off, and I go in and.
It's a brownstone. It's a New York brownstone. He owns the building.
Presumably.
Yeah.
I get to the lift, elevator, sorry.
Yeah.
Go through. First thing, the door opens, and I see a kind of probably 12 or 14 foot wide Matisse on the wall. I'm like, okay. So I'm standing there. I'm still in the
15-foot Matisse.
Yeah.
Not the postage stamp.
No, this is like a big one. And I'm standing there, the sort of door closes again, and I sort of have to go over the lift. Like, whoa. And that's when Alec Baldwin hands me the lasagna.
Alec Baldwin is waiting outside this elevator, and he's got a vegan lasagna because you're not eating meat in Sir Paul's house.
Not doing that. It wasn't Sir Paul's house. I think it was, I presume it was Linda McCartney's brother, who's a big art guy.
Okay, okay. It was his place.
Hence the Matisse. And then you see the Rothko behind the bulletproof glass. And then you're like, okay, this is not your normal after show. Well, maybe it is.
After you saw the Matisse, then the $25 million Rothko behind bulletproof glass.
And a little sort of, one of those things you get in a museum. Don't get any nearer than this. Okay. And then, then it just got surreal.
So Alec Baldwin is standing there with a fucking vegan lasagna, and he says what?
He's like, oh, good job.
He was at the show?
Yeah, they're all at the show. And he's like, I'm Alec. I'm like, yeah, I know.
Sober, not sober?
Don't know.
Yeah.
Hard to tell.
Right.
then he starts introducing me to people. This is Woody. I'm like, Harrelson, hello.
Woody Harrelson's at the party.
He's at the party.
You know he's fucking high.
He's off his face. And then, I'm sorry. Elvis Costello.
Elvis Costello's there.
And his lovely wife, Diana Kroll. I'm like, hello. Yeah, good. And then it just get Steve Buscemi but these guys are all sitting around a table eating lasagna from a kind of one of those like silver takeout tins.
Yeah.
And
they got it from somewhere.
Hey, Woody, pass the salt. What? So weird. So weird. Yeah.
Paul sees that you arrive at the party and says what?
He's away looking at doing something else, and then I get into the room where we all sit down, and he does his like Andy. He does this opera thing. He impersonates an opera singer saying your name. Yeah, which
calls everybody's eyes to you, because when Paul says something, everybody looks, even Alec Baldwin and Woody Harrelson.
Yeah. I don't. That's not my kind of normal hangout. But what struck me about that whole thing was how normal it was for them, because none of them was trying to impress the other. They were just. It was like you were saying.
This was Saturday afternoon.
Yeah, there's no fans there. They're just like these are the only people they can relax because they're
nobody's going to write this in the paper. Nobody. This is just these guys being normal. Right.
Oh, wait a minute.
So
no, it was good.
You're around these guys. They saw your performance, but they're just acting like, "Hey, good show." We saw a show, good show.
Yeah.
Like any normal person that you would meet after the performance.
Yeah, it was nice. It was really nice.
So you're in his, or not his brother-in-law's place.
Yeah.
Is there? I mean, what is the atmosphere? They're just throwing a party. Come have dinner. These are my famous friends.
These are my famous friends. But we didn't. Yeah, and I think I'd been out shopping that day and had bought some DVD of I can't remember what film it was now, but it was a film that Steve Buscemi was in, and I'd arrived with my rucksack. And in my bag was the DVD, with Steve Buscemi. And I'm sitting next to Steve Buscemi, and we're chatting.
I'm trying to imagine which Steve Buscemi movie it is.
It's a black and white one of the early one, like a hotel where he's like the.
It wasn't Reservoir Dogs or something cool.
No. Yeah. It was very cool because it's like, oh, that's a good one. But there was a guy there. I can't remember his name, but
what's security like at this kind of thing?
Oh, it's fine once you're in.
There's some goons.
Outside,
there's some goons at the door.
Yeah.
New York goons. Yeah. Retired professional football players that would just snap you in two, given the choice.
With their little finger. Yeah. This guy his job, I think, was the laser displays at McCartney gigs.
He was the lighting guy.
But the big, rig.
Right.
And he was like, Andy, you're an aesthetic guy. Are you free tomorrow? I'm like, yeah. He's like, can you meet me at this address? And he was buying a Ferrari and another Ferrari because he had several. And he wanted my advice, being an aesthetic guy from Britain with taste. So he said, to pick out the stitching and the seat cover. I'm like,
So you went?
Of course I went. I got a free Ferrari hat out of it.
They think that you're living in this classical music world.
Yeah. They've not met a 25-year-old opera singer from
They don't
Britain
know
before.
that you live in a studio apartment in the bad side of town.
They don't know that 2 days later I'll be doing the washing up in Shepherd's Bush, just thinking, what the hell? Was that real? Yeah.
Did that just happen?
Yeah. But I showed up. I was there.
So he says, "Come, I'm picking out a Ferrari. Come to the Ferrari dealership and help me with the colors or the stitching." Yeah.
We need to have serious talk about the stitching and the leather. What?
Do you think he just wanted to show you how cool he was buying a fucking Ferrari?
No, he genuinely wanted a cheap because he would have paid for this advice.
Right.
I could have leveraged this, but there are people it's like personal shoppers at airports. There are people who come and advise you, and I was like, okay, let's start before. Let's sit down and have a coffee before. And I was like, I thought I'm going to.
I want to get to know you here.
I want to know what you like. Tell me what the Ferraris you already have. Okay, you've got a yellow one and a red one. Okay, sell the yellow one.
I like that McCartney. That people that work for McCartney would have multiple Ferraris. I would think he would be the only one with multiple Ferraris.
Oh no. He
everybody's taken care of.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. I'm sorry you weren't in his actual apartment.
Yeah.
Like I read somewhere that he owns Elvis's bass player's bass.
I've played it. He has it in the windmill in the south of England.
So when you went to the sound recording, when you went to the recording in the windmill in England,
he's got.
You played, Bill Black's bass.
Yeah,
it's pretty great.
I mean, it's all right. Yeah. Well, and then I had a cup of tea with Paul McCartney. Anyway, that was a good day. It was a good week, the whole thing.
Now, bring your wife into this. Because at the time, you weren't married.
No.
You weren't even necessarily dating.
No, I wasn't at that time. I think I just split up with someone, and then so my now wife, so that would have happened in the summer, I guess, that whole McCartney thing. Then every Christmas he puts on a party for everyone who's worked for him that year, and it's sort of his kind of right down from his, because he's got a whole production company that does all sorts of stuff.
Right.
So he does like a thank you party,
big Christmas party,
rents like a ballroom in London, or a hotel or something.
It's a lot of people.
But they're not famous. They're
just people.
His guys. You know?
Yeah, right. His guys. That's a good way to put it.
And he's kind of vegan lasagna and Cristal champagne. So I got invited along to Paul McCartney's Christmas party in Knightsbridge in London, and I was allowed a +1. So I was like, okay.
Like if you're going to get laid in your life, if you're a single guy.
Okay, so this is my point, right?
I'm telling you, if you make your pick, because this is get laid night.
This should be, right? It should have been, but it wasn't. So I'm
telling you, I've told this whole story as if it was my own.
Have you? So I hope you tell it better than this. I rang up Poppy, my now wife, and said, "Look, you free on that?"
And Poppy is a beautiful. I mean, just
absolutely out of
stunningly.
My league. Way out of my
no! You have no business talking to her. Yeah.
Exactly. She's.
You should bring her a drink poolside. Yeah. In my humble opinion.
100%, and then disappear backwards, kind of. So I rang her and said, "Look, are you free on the 14th of December?" She said, "Maybe." I'm like, good answer. Not no.
So you knew her?
Oh yeah, I'd been. So I know her parents because they're singers, and I've been after her for years.
Yes,
and we've been on tour. She at that stage was running these big kind of tours, and I'd been on a tour.
This was something you had at least started. Previous. Yeah.
So there's a quote that got quoted at me on my wedding by my best man. Apparently, I'd said about her, I just want to hold her and tell her lovely things. Sort of drunk, in his arms at sort of 2:30 in the morning.
Drunk people tell the truth.
Oh, yeah. So I now do that.
I just want to hold her and tell her lovely things.
That's my line. Yeah, it's good, right?
Oh, that'll work. That'll work with me.
So I rang her and said, "Look, do you want to come to this party? It's in London. It's Paul McCartney's party."
Yeah.
And she's like, "Well, I'll come, but only as your friend." And
she wanted to put it out there that, look, this is not going to turn into a thing. Yeah. I would love to go to Paul McCartney's house,
but not with.
Hey, look, sometimes people pay for arm candy. I get it.
So I hadn't banked on that because I had a list of people to ask, and if she'd said no,
you were going to move on to 2.
To dead cert number 2.
So she's like, yes, but definitely don't touch me after the show.
100%. And I'm like, okay.
You realize I need to parlay this into something for 24-year-old Andy.
Exactly. So I'm like, okay, well, now I'm in trouble because So then
I might have moved on.
Right.
I might have moved on. Good for you. Good for you. That's how out of your league she is that you were like, I'm going to use this one night that I could definitely get laid and play the game that I might not.
The long game. Yeah.
Good for you, man.
Good for you is one of the most condescending things you can say. Sorry. You know that, right? When you say good for you, what you're actually saying is, you fucking idiot.
It takes balls for this to work out.
Right. Well,
because she doesn't have to be the mother of your children, but she is.
She is. Bless her. Okay, so I don't... Well, maybe it was the direct line from this moment. But she turns up to the party. I turn up to the party. We go in, and there's a crowd of like 200 people milling around. And I walk through the door with this beautiful blonde girl, out of my league, on my arm.
I would be worried from my standpoint. I would be nervous that Alec Baldwin was going to come over and take her from me.
Right. I hadn't even thought of that. That's how
you didn't
naive
consider like maybe if I bring a beautiful woman in here, McCartney would be like, "Hey, leave Andy's girl alone." But I would just think that like if you're dealing with this kind of level, if Woody Harrelson comes over, he could just he could almost make you like let it happen.
Yeah,
he'd be like, "It's better if I."
Isn't
and then he just takes her.
Wouldn't that be kind of ironic? Isn't he in a film like where the direct opposite of that happens to him?
True?
Isn't that the anyway. He's the Robert Redford to his. Woody Harrelson.
In the
Indecent Proposal.
Indecent Proposal. That's right. That's right.
Yeah, there we go. So
I mean, everybody's got a price. Look,
exactly.
How long have you been married?
I mean, 6 years.
If it's like 1 year or 20, my answer might be different. You know.
Good. Oh dear. Anyway, it was a nice party. A man went round with a bunch of mistletoe, and while I was talking to Paul with Poppy A guy comes up with some mistletoe.
Hang on.
Okay.
This is a Christmas party. Paul's got a guy who hangs mistletoe between a man and a woman.
Yeah. Oh, not just a man and a woman, anyone. Like
anybody. He just walks over, he hangs mistletoe, and now you have to kiss.
And there's a cameraman, and you like kiss her, kind of, or kiss him. Or
okay, that's harmless, but somebody could help you or fuck you up pretty quick right here.
I mean, it's a weird one.
So Paul is talking with your friend at this thing, and somebody hangs mistletoe.
Between me and her.
Okay.
And I.
She plays along because Paul's watching.
She's sort of off. She sort of leans in, and I kiss the cheek because I've been told this is not. This is not the moment to. Yeah. She told you we're going as friends. We're going as friends, and so
kiss on the cheek.
Kiss on the cheek.
But you do that in front of Paul, and he's like, "What?"
He just sort of. Well, it just sort of.
The moment you fucked up, man.
Wow.
Is that my Paul?
That was great. I was like, he's here in the room. So yeah, that moment passed. But then cut to sort of 13 years later at our wedding, which is mid-May or something.
Right.
I managed to get some mistletoe.
Yeah.
And I got someone to bring it back, and I relived that moment.
Where you did it the right way.
It's not easy to find mistletoe in London in May.
Well, I would just think it was like holly bush or something.
Right, no, it was genuine mistletoe.
Well, obviously, Paul would have real mistletoe.
He would, he did. But, and we mended that moment.
You fixed that moment. Oh, that's very sweet.
It's beautiful, right?
So she's with you at this party.
Yeah.
And you all right? You want to take a break?
No, I'm good.
She's with you at this party.
Yeah.
And you're playing the long game. You've decided to play the long game.
Yeah.
Because I'm thinking if there's one time in my whole life that I was definitely going to get laid, it would be the night I introduced you to Paul fucking McCartney.
Yeah.
And you were like, I'm going to go for the gold here.
Yeah.
Good. I mean, I'm going to say good for you, and you say that's condescending, but I think
I take it.
It's a fucking baller move.
I think it is looking back on it now, but at the time, I don't know.
Really dumb. Super dumb.
Really dumb. Super dumb. Yeah, childish chicken. Oh, well, there you go. It's what it is.
So I have told this story no fewer than 3 or 4 times.
Oh, I'm glad.
But it's not my story. It's your story, and I just parlay it. Now, I confuse the Christmas party with the New York party, but it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I have the table riveted.
Yeah.
When you told this story in Melbourne, you had a table of 15, I mean, not quiet people. You know, it's a bunch of opera singers and like heavy hitters, and Sir Andrew was sitting there, and you had the table for 15, 20 minutes.
God,
I mean,
really?
was
I drunk?
Of course, yeah.
Okay, fine.
And we could all look at your wife during this moment where you're like talking about your wife. We could like look at her. She was right over here.
I forgot she was there.
And like that, you had the visual. You were like, yeah, she's way too pretty for him.
Oh, it's perfect, isn't it? Oh, it's good. Well, we should put a picture of her on your card so that people can look at and see. God, this guy, what's he doing?
Unbelievable. It was a fantastic opportunity.
Yeah.
You played it well.
Oh well, I'm glad. Yeah.